This is yet another reason to focus more on bottom of funnel content and ignore top of funnel content. This is actually kind of crazy. At first, I thought it was a nothing burger. At first, I thought this was just a standard optimized meta description that Google was doing. But nope, Google is literally using generative AI to give the answer in meta descriptions for results. So you don't even have to click into the result. If you're super interested in the topic, you'll click into it. But a lot of people, they're just not even going to click. So this was shared on LinkedIn by Paul Shapiro. And Paul Shapiro said, "Whoa, just spotted something wild in Google SERPs. This is a search result for a Reddit thread, but the meta description isn't a snippet of the page. It looks like an AI-generated summary of the thread itself. I checked the linked Reddit page. That exact text doesn't exist there, meaning this is Google generating its own page summary and showing it in the description field. So now we've got AI overviews, AI search mode results, and AI summarized page snippets directly in SERPs. At this point, you're basically never leaving Google." And he shares a screenshot. The Reddit thread is, "How do you get caffeine out of your system?" And then Google's AI literally generates the answer based on what is in the thread, based on what is in the page. And Google's AI says, "A person drank excessive caffeine and experienced negative symptoms. Commenters suggest various remedies, including drinking water, walking, eating bananas for potassium, and time for the caffeine to naturally leave the body. Other tips mentioned are increasing serum volume, eating broccoli, and boosting," and then it gets cut off. What's also interesting is this is longer than the typical meta description, and Google's AI is just trying to give an answer that will satisfy search intent for people who are comfortable with shallow answers. Again, there will be people who don't want shallow answers, who want to verify what the AI is saying. Those people will click into the result to get more information. But for a lot of people, this is going to be good enough and they're going to say, okay. I also think it's very likely that Google is going to do a pretty good job with this. Here was a crazy study that happened a few years ago when it was just the standard meta descriptions without generative AI. And Google was giving its own meta descriptions, not using what the webmasters wrote for their meta description. There was an experiment done. Search Pilot, they found that Google's auto-generated descriptions outperformed custom meta descriptions by a factor of 3%. So this is shared in the 21 SEO Experiments article by SEO Sherpa. I share this all the time on the show. And this article says Google has access to a hell of a lot of user data. This data advantage helps Google know what users are looking for and creates descriptions that are more relevant to users than those we might write ourselves, even if Google's own descriptions are scraped and often read like junk. This is reinforced by studies that have shown that Google ignores the meta description tag for 63% of queries. We can assume Google does this when the meta description created by the website owner is not entirely relevant to the user's query, and Google thinks it can do a better job. Google's AI will probably do a pretty good job of putting summaries in place of meta descriptions underneath the blue links, underneath the page titles. So there's two things that come out of this, because this is kind of big news. This is changing SEO a decent amount. Two things that come out of this. This is one, why it's better to not have content that is all over the place. So if you are writing top of funnel content, you don't want your content to be a bunch of shallow answers for different partially related subject matter. You want to go deep into the subject matter because there will be people who are not content with a shallow AI-generated meta description. They will want to go deep, and you want your content to give that to them. That also demonstrates domain expertise. When you are able to go deep into subject matter, it shows you know, or at least it makes it more likely you know what you're talking about. So if somebody wants to learn more, they click into your page, your posts, and then they get their answers. That's number one. Don't have content that is all over the place. Have content that goes deep. And then number two, it is still better to focus on bottom of funnel content because lots of people will only be looking for shallow answers. I've shared this many times. This study from Ahrefs, and Ahrefs found that AI overviews cut clicks by 34.5%. And honestly, it might be more than that with an AI-generated meta description underneath the page. However, Ahrefs also found that AI overviews are 99% triggered by informational content, not bottom of funnel content, not transactional content, informational. So if you want to avoid this, target transactional content. Ask yourself, is this a keyword something that somebody's searching into Google, where an AI overview would not easily satisfy search intent. So here's some examples. I came up with some keywords, 5 examples. Salesforce data migration consulting services. AI overview is not going to do that for you. Desks in bulk for classrooms. Make a page that targets that keyword. The AI overview is not going to be your desk. Fractional CFO services for SaaS startups. Web-based audio recording. For that one, you're looking for a web app to record audio. You're not going to do that with AI overviews. Or making marriage photos with AI. Again, something that the AI overview is not going to do. Also, and this is a misconception in SEO, lots of people think that these top-of-funnel keywords, which can easily be satisfied by AI overviews, are very useful for topical authority. They're not even that useful for developing topical authority. It's actually better to just blog about things in your industry or things in your niche that you are genuinely interested in, things that you genuinely care about. If they are related to a top-of-funnel keyword, then take that top-of-funnel keyword, put it in your page title, meta description, even though the AI might create the meta description there. Still put it in your meta description, put it in your URL slug, put it in your H1 and put it at the beginning of the first sentence of your post. But if you can't find a keyword that is related to what you're writing about, it's okay. Just write about stuff that is interesting to you in your industry and try to go deep. Or if you do want to target keywords that are top of funnel, find ones that are not super competitive, where you don't have tons of other websites targeting the keyword. In order to rank for those keywords, you have to put a lot of effort into your content, assuming you don't have super high domain authority, which most websites don't. So you have to put a lot of effort into your content. And imagine spending tons of resources on top of funnel content only to have AI overviews cut your clicks again by 34.5% or more. It's hard to justify that. It's way better to go after transactional keywords, keywords where an AI overview is not likely to satisfy search intent. And also, funny enough, these keywords, because they're at the bottom of the funnel, they get less volume, which makes them overlooked by a lot of marketers. So they're easier to rank for. They take less words and effort to rank for. You don't need many backlinks or even any backlinks in many cases to rank for these keywords, and they convert better. So this is kind of crazy news to see Google using generative AI to give the answer right there underneath the page title in the SERPs. But don't be afraid, just make these changes to your content strategy. Go deep on your subject matter and focus on keywords that sell. If you want to learn more about focusing on keywords that sell, I have an entire SEO course about this. It's called Compact Keywords. It shows how to find and rank number 1 for these keywords that get customers, paying customers, that get users, that get warm leads calling you up on the phone. Shows how to get backlinks, shows how to do a site audit, shows how to do everything you need in SEO that's going to get you conversions. And that is at compactkeywords.com. And this is all for episode 824 of The Edward Show. This is my daily digital marketing podcast. I am recording this one from a crowded cafe. I just don't have a lot of time today. And I'm like, all right, I'm at this cafe. I gotta get the podcast in. This is daily. I don't miss days. So I'm going to record from the cafe. Thank you so much for watching. If you watch this on YouTube, thank you so much for listening. If you listened on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.